Hospitals Capital Committee. Today's meeting is officially called to order. Please note for the record that Erin Kelly is representing Susan Miles Gustav and Karen San Hilaire is representing Molly Wasso Park in a voting capacity. So I would like to propose a motion to adopt the minutes of the Capital Committee meeting held on September 8th, 2025. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. So minutes approved. So next we'll hear the Vice President reports. Mr. Saiz.
Good morning, everyone. New York City Health and Hospital Woodhall Construction has mobilized for the installation of a solar photovoltaic array of panels in interconnection with Con Ed, which will have an anticipated CO2 reduction of 89 tons per year. Anticipated construction completion is July 2026. In addition, a medical bed upgrade of 145 new smart patient beds has been completed, with all beds delivered and training complete. New York City Health and Hospitals Elmhurst Phase 1 of the Elmhurst Emergency Department renovation is at substantial completion. The project moved the ED admin team from within the ED to a new location on the first floor to allow for more swing space for the upcoming renovation of the full adult ED, which is scheduled to begin in late 2025 and last 3 years. New York City Health and Hospitals Kohler, substantial completion was achieved for a building-wide lighting upgrade with fixture replacement and addition of controls to comply with local law 1188. Also received $1.5 million from Senator Krueger for renovations to the resident lounge, laundry room, creation of behavioral group therapy, and purchase and installation of a commercial oven. New York City Health and Hospitals South Brooklyn Health, the outpatient infusion center project was recently completed and provided a modernized space, expanding waiting room and expanding treatment areas, adding 2 additional infusion bays. And finally, New York City Health and Hospital Kings received $8 million from Council member Rita Joseph to fund a primary care renovation project and trauma room build-out project. The P Building Local Law 11 project was also recently completed, allowing for the removal of sidewalk sheds to support the city's Get Sheds Down initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Manny? Okay, thank you. So let's move on. We have 5 action items. So let's start with the first one. Dara?
Deborah's
Good-
doing the,
Good
Deborah will
morning.
present.
I'll read in the resolution, then I'll tell you about this. Lease authorizing New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation to sign a 5-year lease extension with the Matone Group, Spring Next LLC, the landlord, for 4,218 square feet at 13464 Springfield Boulevard, Queens, to house the Gotham Health Springfield Gardens Clinic, the clinic, operated by New York City Health and Hospitals Gotham Health, extending a lease due to expire May 31st, 2030, so such that to expire May 31st, 2035, with the base rent remaining unchanged at $53.05, an estimated annual common maintenance charge at CAM of annually $27,233, and an estimated annual charge for real estate taxes of $51,613 through May 31, 2030, when base rent will increase by 10% for the 5-year renewal term, bringing the rate to $58 per 35 cents a square foot, provided there will be no rent for the first and 13 months of the extension term. Next slide. Gotham Health operates 29 locations citywide and 8 in Queens. You see Springfield Boulevard circled at the bottom right, where it is compared to the other clinics. Next slide. This clinic it's been operating since 2008. It serves Springfield and Laurelton, which is a medically underserved area. The building has 4,218 feet within a larger commercial building. It's very close to the Laurelton Long Island Railroad Station. The reason we're here today is H&H received from Borough President Richards capital investment funds to replace the HVAC, reconfigure the layout in the reception area, and refresh the flooring. However, the capital requirements require a longer term than are on the existing lease. So we're here because we're in year 6 of 10. So we're extending the lease by an additional 5 years to get to 15 years to satisfy OMB requirements. Next slide. This is the existing space. I'll hand it over to Ted to talk about the clinic.
Sounds good. So the the summary here is this is, continues to be a high need area, but the good news is that an increasing number of New Yorkers are coming to us this particular clinic year by year. We mentioned a 20% increase from prior, and here just to articulate the needs of the community per HRSA, this is a medically underserved area, has a high poverty rate, a high obesity rate for both adults and children, chronic diseases as high rates of diabetes and hypertension. And if you want to go to the next slide. This, we do see a significant number of New Yorkers at this clinic. So by visit volume, this is for adults. We have over 3,600 visits each year. And if you want the next slide for pediatric and adolescents, nearly 1,500 visits each year. And then the next slide, OBGYN, more than 600 visits a year. So again, this is an area that has significant needs, but the good news is the community is continuing to come to us more and more each year, and we hope they'll come to us even more next year once these, or whenever the renovations or the upgrades have taken place. Thank you.
Next slide. Okay, so these are the lease terms. Oh, there's a typo. Gotham Springfield will continue to occupy a 4,218 square foot space located within a commercial building located at 13464 Springfield Boulevard, Queens. The extension of the existing 10-year lease, currently in year 6, to a total term of 15 years. The base rent is fair market value. Your packets included the fair market value report. The rate is unchanged until May 31st, 2030. On May 31st, 2030, the base rent will increase by 10% to $58.35 per square foot for the new 5-year renewal term. The common area maintenance will be expected to be $27,233 annually, and real estate taxes estimated to be $51,613 annually, bringing the total occupancy costs over the 10 years will be approximately $3,096,866. Please let me know if you have any questions.
No questions? Any questions from board members? From committee members?
Could we buy the building?
So we're a small amount of space within a larger building, but we could explore purchasing a condo.
That makes it less attractive.
Yeah.
Frida and I are shaking our heads because we both have the belief, especially if you're renovating, the idea of renovating in retail in rental buildings is very unattractive, right? It's you want to renovate the buildings you own, and also in general we're not going away, right? The other reason you rent is because you think you might go away at some point. But if you're never going away, and we don't go around closing clinics, it's nice to own rather than to rent. But I get it. If it's only a small part of the building,
Yeah, this is a large retail strip, so it's kind of like a town center mall with a parking lot. So we're it's actually quite a small space. It's impressive how much what volume goes through this
People we care for.
4,000 square feet.
Okay, let's take it up for the vote. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. Resolution approved. Let's move to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, request for consideration authorizing New York City Health and Hospital, the corporation, the system, to execute a 5-year lease agreement with Harveyleen LLC for approximately 600 square feet of ground floor space at 2101 Mermaid Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, to house the Women, Infant, and Children program, the WIC program, operated by New York City Health and Hospital, South Brooklyn. The facility at a cost of $24 per square foot, or $14,400 per year, to escalate by 2.25% per year for a total rent amount over the 5-year term of $75,313.72. In addition, there will be a $200 a month utility payment, or $2,400 a year, for a total utility cost of $12,000 over the course of the 5-year term, creating a total occupancy cost over the 5 years to be $87,314. The Women, Infant, Children program provides nutrition services to pregnant, breastfeeding, and postpartum women, infants, and children less than 5 years of age who are determined to be at nutritional risk and of low income. This particular WIC program serves the zip code 11224. This program is assigned to serve 1,900 people through the grant. South Brooklyn has successfully operated the WIC program in this space since January 2016. And the New York State Department of Health has continued continually approve use of this site for the WIC program. Next slide. Lease terms, New York City Health and Hospital South Brooklyn will occupy 600 square feet at 2101 Mermaid Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. A 5-year lease term will commence upon execution of the lease. The base rent is $24 a square foot, which is well below fair market rate, to escalate 2.25% each year and $200 a month in utilities. The system and the landlord will hold an option to terminate the lease with 90 days notice. To exercise such termination option, the system shall pay a termination fee equal to 3 months' rent. The total annual occupancy fee for base rent over the potential 5-year term will be approximately $87,314. South Brooklyn is here if you have any questions.
Questions? So the cost is low because it's a very small
It's
space.
a very small space. We've been there a long time, and it's just a very low historical rent. So we're kind of fortunate compared to what we're paying in our newer spaces down the block. But we considered consolidation. South Brooklyn can speak to why that didn't make sense, if that's of interest.
Okay. Any other questions from board members? Hearing none, then. Oh. 1 second. Is the federal government still funding WIC? This came from Sally. If not, who will be funding this program? I guess if there are any changes
Yes.
in federal funding that you foresee, or
We received the 5 years fund 2 years ago. We are going to the 3rd year, and we actually almost got double of the grant that we used to have 5 years ago. So because of the growing very fast in the neighborhood that we're working at, they are supporting even more. You have 3 sites now.
But we have added in a termination clause if the grant is suspended.
I see.
So.
Okay. Okay, let's take it up for a vote. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, say no. Resolution approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is an authorization, New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation to execute a contract with National Environmental Safety, Inc. for the early demolition and abatement package of New York City Health and Hospitals North Central Bronx Outposted Therapeutic Housing Unit. Project with a contract amount of $4,956,151 and a 10% contingency of $495,615 for a total authorization of $5,451,766 with an anticipated duration of 6 months. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Tim O'Leary, who represents Correctional Health Services.
Good morning. This slide gives you the context and how this request fits into the larger OTX-HU projects as a whole. On March 4th, 2024, the mayor instructed Health and Hospitals to resume design and construction of the 3 OTX-HU sites, Bellevue, Woodhull, and North Central Bronx. NCB project will be located partially on the 13th floor and then 14 through 16. The anticipated substantial completion is December 2028, pending timely finalization of design. The NCB project as a whole is roughly 4 components, some of which are happening simultaneously. The first component is the renovation of other floors to accommodate relocation of several different administrative spaces. That work began at the beginning of this calendar year and is currently underway. The second component is the demolition and abatement of the future OTX-HU space. That's the project that is before you today. The third component is design and reconstruction of the ground floor, which includes the emergency department. That component is in design and expected to be presented to this committee in a few months, 2026. And the last component is the construction of the OTX-HU itself. Pending timely finalization of design, we expect to bring that to the Capital Committee next calendar year, and the construction to begin December 2026 and last 24 months.
So this is the project scope and schedule. The scope will cover part of the 13th floor, the 14th and 15th and 16th floor for demolition. Abatement will occur on the 13th and 14th floor. Also, new bathroom on 13B and a new anteroom on 13B. And there's no anticipated impact to patient care during the construction period. And as Tim mentioned, this phase of the project is scheduled to start in winter of 25 and completed in summer of 26. Next slide. So the original bid was posted on May 5th, May 2nd of this year. Site tours were held May 12th through May 13th. A total of 10 vendors attended. 2 bids were received, and National Environmental Safety Company was determined to be the lowest responsive and responsible bidder for this procurement. This is the contract details. The amount is approximately $4.9 million. Expected to start in winter of 2025 and completed in summer of 26 for a 6-month duration. This vendor has not completed work with H&H previously, but they have received 5 ratings in MOX, 4 from Parks, good ratings, and 1 excellent from DDC. They've committed to a 32% MWBE goal, and you can see the subs that are listed there and their percentage utilization for each sub for this project, totaling about $1.5 million in spend. This is the project budget. So as I mentioned, $4.9 million for the contract. There's a 10% contingency of approximately $495,000 for a total NTE of about $5.5 million. Full funding for this project has been allocated, and the CP has been submitted to OMB for approval. And it's pending approval currently with OMB. And the next slide is the resolution. Thank you. And I'll have you take some questions.
Okay, any questions from committee members?
Sorry, Manny, I think you said there's no, I was trying to see.
No impact patient. Yes.
Yes, okay. Because the first stage has not been completed yet, right? Is that?
The first stage in
Moving.
a separate area of the building.
Oh,
Yes.
I see. Okay.
Okay, take it up for a vote. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. Resolution carries. Let's move to the next one.
Okay. This is authorizing New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation to execute a contract with Kingsley Energy Systems for maintenance and repair services for the newly installed 4-megawatt combined heat and power cogen system at Bellevue with a total not to exceed amount of $4,684,444 and a 20% contingency of $939,890 for a total authorization of $5,624,338 with an initial contract duration of 3 years with the option of 2 one-year extensions exercisable at the discretion of the system. And with that, I'll hand it over to Omar Kabuk, our Chief Decarbonization Officer.
All right, no problem.
First slide.
So combined heat and power systems, also known as cogen, is a machine that produces both electricity and thermal energy from a single energy source, usually natural gas. The system will be operational year-round, 24/7 to produce electricity and hot water for heating. Establishing a maintenance contract for our new cogen system will provide our staff with direct control and oversight of performance, scope, and deliverables, flexibility to tailor maintenance strategies as the system matures, allowing our team to adjust maintenance frequencies and scope based on actual needs rather than fixed tasks, and full visibility into pricing, markups, and service schedules, which creates transparency to project future costs. Next slide, please. Shall I continue? All right, no problem. Go ahead, Manju.
So we're seeking to enter the contract with Kingsley for maintenance of and repair of the cogen system. The scope will include preventative maintenance tasks, repairs, and consumable supply that fuels the cogen. The maintenance contract will ensure that we can have reliable operation and maximize uptime of the cogen system. That is key to ensuring that we can maximize our return on investment and have the system operate at maximum efficiency. Next slide. Overview of the procurement. So in January of this year, we issued an application for RFP, which was approved by CRC. In February, the RFP was posted to City Record and sent directly to 4 vendors. Pre-proposal conference was held. 4 vendors attended. Proposals were due in June, and 2 proposals were received. We had vendor presentations in July. 1 vendor was invited to participate. And in August, Kingsley was determined to be the top scoring proposer for this RFP. The second vendor that proposed did not submit a complete package. We gave them multiple opportunities to revise their package to make it complete, and they did not do so in a timely fashion. So they were not invited to participate for the presentation. Next slide. This is the procurement, our minimum criteria, our MWB utilization plan, and the evaluation committee were made up of a member of our Assistant Director of Engineering and Director of Engineering from Bellevue and some staff from our central office OFD team. Next slide. The contract will start in January of 2026. It will last for 3 years and include 2 one-year options. The value is about 4.6 million. This vendor has done similar work for Vanguard Renewables, Quantum Biopower, and Renew Energy, all with good reviews based on the reference checks. And the vendor diversity team has approved a waiver for Kinsley Energy, since the vendor will be self-performing the majority of the scope on this contract. This is the contract budget. Maintenance is 4.6 million. There's a contingency of 20% of about 940,000 for a total NTE of 5.6 million. The contingency is a little higher. This is a maintenance contract, not a construction contract, so there may be unanticipated needs for repairs or emergency service that we can't account for. We won't know yet, so it's a little bit higher than the 10% you would normally see in the contingent on the construction contracts. Sorry, and this is the resolution. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions from Sally Hernandez Pinheiro. So what else do we have these cogen systems? And then do we have any savings? Have we realized any savings from them?
So I can take that question. So we have cogen at Kings County Hospital. We have a microturbine. It's a different system. That's 1.6 megawatt. We also have a fuel cell at Kings County as well. It's somewhat runs on natural gas and also similar to cogen. But for this specific system, it's a 4 megawatt system, and we are anticipating annual savings of roughly around $3 million a year.
Any other questions from board members or committee members? Okay, so let's take it up for a vote. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Opposed, say no. Resolution carries. Let's move to the next one.
Okay. Authorizing the New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation to execute a best interest renewal contract with North Star Recovery Systems for the provision of emergency incident recovery services for New York City Health and Hospitals, extending the term of the existing contract to December 31st, 2028, with all other terms and conditions remaining unchanged. A little bit of background. Emergency Incident Recovery System encompass the comprehensive response, management, and restoration efforts required to stabilize facilities, ensure patient and staff safety, and restore critical operations following a major disruptive event, such as natural disasters, fires, and other catastrophic incidents. Services involved but are not limited to immediate assessment and mitigation of damages, including structural repairs, water, mold remediation, electrical and mechanical system restoration. New York City Health and Hospital System first identified the need for these services following the extensive damage caused by Superstorm Sandy in 2012. And with that, I hand it over to Menchik.
Thanks, man. So first, the system procured these services back in December of 2013, and then they were re-procured in March of 2019. During the competitive procurement process that was initiated in March of 2019, Belfour Property Restoration Incorporated was the highest scoring vendor, and the board approved a 3-year contract with 2 one-year options for the system to enter in with Belfour in June of 2019. In August of 2019, the federal guidelines for managing Category A infectious waste required the system to expand Belfour's scope of services to ensure we were complying with this regulation. At the time, Belfour was unable and unwilling to meet the new requirements, prompting us to come back and seek approval to enter into the contract with North Star, since they were the second lowest rated proposer for that contract. Approval was granted in June of 2020 by the Board of Directors and CRC to enter into contract with North Star, and that contract expires at the end of this year. And total spend since the inception of that contract is about $75.5 million. Next slide. So why best interest renewal? So North Star is the market leader for emergency incident recovery services. They have a large fleet of remediation and demolition equipment. They have the largest fleet of such equipment in North America. They have 5 locations throughout the tri-state area, and they have significant experience in FEMA compliant documentation. So that's usually very helpful for us when we go into these disasters. North Star also has been providing incident recovery services and Category A waste removal services for the system since 2013 and 2020, respectively. Their team is very familiar with our facilities, our operations, our staff. They run annual exercises with Bellevue for communicable disease response. And during COVID-19, they were a key partner in allowing us to increase our surge capacity and also supplementing our workforce to deal with the pandemic. Next slide. So again, for pricing due diligence, North Star is only activated when 2 criteria are met. One is there's a declaration of emergency, and there's approval granted by the president or CEO to activate the North Star contract. The vendor for this contract and this extension has agreed to hold their pricing for all the equipment and supplies. The only exception is the labor costs, which are union contract, kind of fixed by union or dictated by union contracts, so they have to stay in line with those contract rates. And then securing this contract up front as opposed to doing it in the emergency allows us to have confirmed pricing as opposed to variable pricing in the emergencies where things that are in low supply could be extremely high. So that gives us some comfort with the pricing, knowing what that pricing will be in advance of the emergency. Northstar, in the time working with us, has acquired a tremendous amount of institutional knowledge about our facilities, our processes, our equipment. So starting over with a new vendor would require some time for them to get us familiar, which could put H&H at a vulnerable point for those initial years while that vendor is getting up to speed. And I think that's it. And then the next slide is the vendor performance. They've been excellent to date. And the contract, so the contract expiration date will be changed to December 31st, 2028. All other contract terms will remain unchanged with the exception of the labor rate that's related to the union pricing. Northstar will continue working with our facilities as they do annually to do the all hazards report update. And they will continue working with simulated exercises of the Bellevue team for the communicable disease response. This contingency-based contract does not obligate the system to use Northstar. It just gives us an option that they're kind of on retainer and available to us in the event we were to have a situation that we would require their services. As I mentioned, it requires 2 triggers. We need to have a declaration of emergency and approval by the president or CEO to activate the Northstar contract to begin using their services. Once there is a declaration of emergency and we have activated Northstar, there will be a notification to the board and also monthly reporting of the spending for that emergency or related to that emergency. And then funding source for each task order will be determined based on the nature of the emergency and the scope of services required for the mitigation effort. So some emergencies are large enough where we can seek FEMA funding, others are small where we either seek capital, city capital, or we use H&H operating expense to fund. This is the vendor diversity. In their current contract, they had a 30% goal. The utilization to date is 17.5%. As you can imagine, the focus with Northstar is when we've exhausted all other options within the system, our contracting options, our vendors, our partnerships, other options we may have with other city agencies, and Northstar is the only vendor that can get us that service or the resource that we need. In that situation, there are usually very limited vendors that can provide those services. So when possible, Northstar does seek to engage MWBE vendors. However, it all depends on the emergency and the nature of the services we require. And the last slide is the resolution. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Benji. I think it sounds like Northstar is very good. They've done great work for us and clearly a leader. But does it feel like we're in this position where we're never ever going to be able to go out for another procurement if the issue is emergency management, if we have a gap, right, and having a new vendor come up to speed, understand our systems, our facilities, if that's always a challenge, how do we ever get somebody new, right? Or if Northstar goes away or they don't want to do the work anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. I think this immediate procurement is just for the next 3 years. And I think in 2 years, based on that point, what other vendors we see in the space, and if there are more vendors that we feel that can do the work and have the capacity to do the work, I think we will explore doing an RFP in 2 years, so that for the next renewal, we will have options.
But I wonder if there makes sense to try to do an RFP and get 2 on so that we have
I mean, that's
potential,
that's a great
because
idea.
it's not actually, we're not committed to doing any work with them, and so maybe that gives us some diversity in terms
That's a
of
good idea.
options.
Yeah, I think we definitely will explore doing that for the next RFP.
And then just in terms of the total spend of the prior contract was 75 million, is that, I mean, how do we get a sense of what this costs, right? Is it, it's just dependent on the emergencies, dependent on...
During COVID, a lot of it was based on what they can get and what the vendors that were producing or providing the supplies, what they were charging at that time. So I think for COVID, it was a unique situation, and the pricing was very variable based on supply and demand at that time. We do have in the contract a set list of equipment that we commonly use for certain type of emergencies that we can plan for. That is fixed, and that's based on the contract rate.
Right.
But a lot of the, and a bulk of the spend was, about 90% of the spend was during COVID.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And have we, like, do you have a sense of how, it's sort of a mystery to me, like, when you spend the money and how do you, like, what is the basis of the pricing on here? Is it,
So for COVID, it was based on proposals that we get in advance, and it's attached to each task order. So every time we requested a certain service, they would have to get proposals, and we'd have to execute a task order on that proposal. So for the non-COVID related emergencies, we do get, for example, Metropolitan, we had a electrical switchgear fire that we required electrical services, but also generators running for a month that North Star supported with a fuel kind of refueling operation.
Yeah.
So we get prices for the fuel and the driver, the labor to drive the
okay,
truck.
so
and the
there
truck.
isn't a set schedule that you have now?
No,
It's like it
yeah,
depends on what's going on
Correct.
in
So
the market.
each time an emergency is declared and we activate the contract, we request proposals for the specific services related to that emergency at that time.
Okay, and then the spend is approved by Dr.
Correct.
Katz?
When we ask to declare or we ask to execute a task order, we usually have a proposal for the services and the scope of services and the price for that particular emergency.
Okay, great, thank you.
Sally had a related question, which was connected with where the largest projects funded covered with the 75 million that were spent.
A lot of them, the larger value ones were the surge capacity that we did at Kohler, we did at NCB, at Bellevue to support expanding capacity to meet the demand during that time. Those were the majority of how the dollars were spent for this 75 million.
Other emergencies we've used them for has been like the Ebola emergency we had at Bellevue several years ago, which started the whole centralized for infectious disease up there. So they've done that kind of sophisticated work.
Any other questions from, go ahead.
Yeah, I just think it would be helpful to be, I mean, not simply because I want to diversify vendors, that's not why, but just that we don't want to be
We
a
were not
risk.
left with all of our eggs in
Yeah,
one bucket.
we're
That's
not,
that's
right.
It's a great suggestion. I think something we'll definitely put in play in the next RFP. To at least have 2 retainers or vendors on
Yeah.
retainer.
Thank
Especially with what you described at the beginning
Right,
of changing vendors and so
right,
on.
because we already had to kind of go
We
to
are correct
second.
with
Yeah,
one, and
exactly.
Okay, take it up for a vote. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no. So resolution approved. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there any old or new business for the committee? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Ooh, 14 minutes.
Thank you.
This meeting is no longer being recorded.
This meeting is